equal to 7,500, or would it be like 1 Bitcoin equal to Bitcoin Cash?
Well, that's the thing. Have you seen what happened to Bitcoin Cash?
I don't know.
Okay, it's pretty much completely crashed recently. So at the time, probably like.
So right now, I think Bitcoin Cash is around, it's probably more than Ethereum.
I would say so, but it's something that's extremely speculative. Like just look at the way it's active in price, but also what its use case is. Like it's just trying to copy Bitcoin and say its use case is saying that, oh, you make faster and cheaper transactions. But this is just, you have to realize there's lots of people that are trying to get your Bitcoins. So if you think, oh, hey, I have some Bitcoins, I want to get Bitcoin Cash, I've heard of people change their Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash and hold them all in Bitcoin Cash instead of Bitcoin because they think that Bitcoin Cash was the true vision of the creator and that it's going to be better than Bitcoin. But you have to really look at the community behind Bitcoin, who makes it better, the coders. The amount of code that's behind the Bitcoin network, there's tons of it. There's thousands of codes. The cryptographers are the best in the world building on the Bitcoin network. They're not building on the Ethereum network or the Bitcoin Cash network. And to add to that, there's 2 top developers on the Ethereum network. The first one is his name is Vitalik. He actually lives in, was born in Toronto. But the second one, his name is Vlad Zamfir, and he's stated years ago that Ethereum network is not safe to build mission-critical applications on. So even the top developers say that Ethereum is not safe to build on. So if you're looking to store wealth for long-term value, Bitcoin is your network because it hasn't been changed to this date. It hasn't been hacked. It hasn't, yeah. Whereas
Ethereum hasn't been developed for exchanging monetary. Ethereum isn't developed for a monetary exchange. It's developed for a different means of it.
For smart contracts, right?
Exactly. Companies like IBM and all, like they have not going for Bitcoin, they're going for Ethereum.
Right. Why do you think they would go for Ethereum instead of Bitcoin?
Like the use case and the concept is useful for IBM.
Okay. This is what I'm getting back as well. So Ethereum's value proposition is smart contracts. But right now, if you look at all the smart contracts that exist, 99% of them are for ICOs. ICOs isn't really a use case, is it? It's just a speculative thing to make money. So why aren't these smart contracts being used for real world use cases? It's because the Ethereum network is not safe to develop mission critical applications on. But also the Ethereum network, in terms of smart contract, it's actually already been hacked and it's actually already had a problem. The Ethereum network tried to create this ICO called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. But it was an ICO, so there were investors, there were stakeholders. It was very centralized. I haven't used this word centralized much today. I'm not sure why, because this is like the best way to look at Bitcoin. Paper money is centralized. Gold is centralized. These other 4 coins are centralized. These other altcoins have centralized points of failure. Bitcoin is the most decentralized. This is what makes it so strong and so hard to tamper with and change.
But when you have to come to a common agreement, let's say we have to make some change or something,
Yeah.
you need some centralized place. Now, just like many parties are involved. You have to agree with what miners are saying or agree with what developers. So there are many parties involved in this agreement.
You're 100% right. He just said on this network, everyone has to be involved in this agreement. So each block that happens, these blocks happen every 10 minutes on this network. So every 10 minutes, miners and hashers get a chance to hash this block and get a reward. But so every 10 minutes, this block has to be verified by the whole network. Everyone has to agree that this transaction is true, that transaction is true, this person had that much money, this person had that much money. So the way that happens is, so here I say there's players on the network. So the amount of people that are on the Bitcoin network, there's developers. You have the developers that develop code, the software, you have miners, you have wallet providers, you have node operators. Node operators is how I'm going to explain making a changes and all agreeing and having consensus. Consensus keeps happening because of these nodes on the Bitcoin network. So developers, miners, wallet providers, node operators, users, exchanges, and merchants. All of these people have to agree on the state of ledger, on the state of this ledger before it continues. And this has always happened since 2009. So
I didn't get an answer to my question. So my question was when a hard fork happens, so you get Bitcoin Cash. So when you get Bitcoin Cash, is it 1 Bitcoin is equal to 1 Bitcoin?
yes, at the beginning, this is what you get. Like the day Bitcoin Cash started, you got the equal amount. But if you look, like if you waited more than
amount of 1 Bitcoin. So
yes.
you have 2 Bitcoins, you get 2 equal Bitcoin Cash. Is that how it works?
yes, if you had 2 Bitcoins, you get 2 Bitcoin Cash as well. But if you looked at like a week after, that Bitcoin Cash wasn't still worth the same amount of Bitcoin. And like if you look at the price of Bitcoin Cash,
Yeah, I understand.
okay. So yeah. Sorry, I wanted to talk about the types of mining and nodes as well, because this is what really makes Bitcoin tick. My girlfriend's telling me I don't have a lot of time. So there's 2 types of mining. You have mining with the full node, which is the act of validating and constructing a new block. So I was talking about the blockchain. These nodes are the most important aspect of the Bitcoin network in terms of keeping consensus, hands down. Because when you mine with a full node, you're verifying and you're constructing new blocks. A new block doesn't get constructed if everything has been verified by these full nodes. So a full node is just a piece of hardware device, a piece of computer device that downloads all of the data, all of the history of the blockchain that exists today. Because the blockchain, the bigger it grows, the more data it is. So I think it's about like 3 gigabytes to download the blockchain today. But so by having a full node, you're sort of voting. You're voting with your computer power on the Bitcoin network. So when changes happen, this actually happened recently, Bitcoin is trying to figure out how to scale. It's trying to figure out how to allow for more transactions on a network. So in order for changes to happen on the Bitcoin network, a consensus has to be reached of 95%. So 95% of these nodes have to be signaling that this is the Bitcoin blockchain that we believe in. You can also have a node that signals for Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum, but these nodes on the blockchain, I remember the other day, it's like 90,000 full nodes on the Bitcoin network. So it's by far the most decentralized and by far the most amount of nodes. But like I said, these nodes, this full node is a way to make a vote with your computer power on what the state of the blockchain is, what the state of the ledger is. So if all these nodes didn't agree with each other from 2009 up until now, we wouldn't have the same Bitcoin. But we still do have the same Bitcoin blockchain because these nodes have all kept in agreement that this is what the blockchain is. And so, does that kind of answer your question where the nodes, you get a chance to vote? So if a change is to happen on the Bitcoin network, a proposal is made. It's called the Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. And there was a proposal made about 2 to 3 years ago, actually. It was called SegWit, Segregated Witness. And this had the option to make the Bitcoin network scale. So allow for more transactions, cheaper transactions. But it literally took 2 to 3 years for this change to happen. Only until someone created a new type of proposal called a user-activated soft fork. It's called a soft fork because when you make changes on the network, Bitcoin Cash is a hard fork. This means that they are forking away from the Bitcoin network, but with no backwards compatibility. Which means that if this network doesn't continue to be the true chain, so these nodes don't agree that this is the true chain, there's no way to go back to the original chain. Like you're for sure ever separated. The only way you can come back is if you do a soft fork. A soft fork has backwards compatibility. So if this upgrade doesn't happen and doesn't get enough votes, it goes back to the way the original chain was. So this year we actually saw a user-activated soft fork happen where nodes, they lowered it. They said that nodes, we need to have an 80% agreement instead of 90% agreement for this change to happen. So, and this also put the choice in users' hands. Because before, the only way you could make a change to the network was a miner activated hard fork. And if you kind of have been paying attention to the way the Bitcoin network has been evolving, it's getting quite political from the hasher perspective, because you have these people that invested a lot of money in hashing, and they do have a say on the network to some extent, but they don't have a say in how it should change and progress, because obviously they're just going to want what's more profitable for them. So someone came up with the idea to have a Bitcoin improvement proposal called the user-activated soft fork, so users got the chance to decide what the real Bitcoin network is. And so you saw a user-activated soft fork happen, and people used their own full nodes to make this change happen. So because of that, to this day, Bitcoin blockchain is still what it is today and hasn't been changed. It's still an immutable universal ledger. Yes.
So, I'm not really familiar with this. I haven't done much research on this before. Just to make sure that I'm getting the right idea here. The Bitcoin blockchain is the ledger, which means who has every Bitcoin? Is
The
that the
network.
ledger?
The network has accounts for all of the Bitcoins, but it's distributed. So the amount of Bitcoins are all shared among the users on the network.
What is the blockchain?
The blockchain is also it's also a public ledger, and it's also the
No,
network.
what is it physically? I know it's not physical, but
It's a protocol. It's a computer protocol.
so it's a language.
Yes, it is a language. And this blockchain, first there was just one block, in 2009,
Right.
and it had a block of all those transactions that existed.
What does that mean? All the transactions that exist.
So in 2009, when Bitcoin first started, it was just a protocol. And in order for this protocol to grow, people had to use it. So there was just two people. So the first two people that used it made the first block, which just had their transaction in this block.
What's a transaction?
Oh, so when you make like an exchange on the Bitcoin network, say I send Bitcoins to you or you send Bitcoins to me, this is a transaction.
So it is the ledger saying this person has this many Bitcoins and that person has that many
Yes.
Bitcoins. And that is all it is
Yes,
that I need to think about.
yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
When you're creating a fork, is it an intentional thing to create a hard fork?
Yes, absolutely. They even state that as well, that we're creating hard fork, there's no backwards compatibility, so some people do see this as kind of reckless, but it also just, they're saying like, we're trying to overtake the Bitcoin network. They're not being shy about it, this is what they're trying to say.
When you're talking about nodes, those people are operating nodes to the pay, they get paid.
No, honestly, full nodes is completely, this is all, anyone who has operated a full node since the beginning of Bitcoin does it all on their own free will. Which kind of just shows you that, people really do want a fair ledger. Paper money, gold hasn't been fair. You can tamper with them, you can change them by the people who control them. Whereas with Bitcoin, you can't change it, you can't tamper with it, it's all decentralized.
Miners are the one who most probably are going to operate the nodes.
Yeah, so, but remember, like, hashing and mining are two different things. So hashing is, those big computer farms that try and solve those proof of work. So mining is, just the full node, and you're just verifying the state of the ledger before you construct a new block, before all the nodes construct a new block.
Because my question is, you're talking about the users are the ones who are using a wallet. The most something like Google, the most popular search engine is Google. So the most popular in the wallet might be something like Coinbase or something. So they control what the user says, right?
What do you mean the wallet provider controls the users?
Like we're talking about the user has a say now in the crypto. So the users are the ones who are using the wallet.
Oh, wallet providers will have a full node. This is how they have a say. But when you use a wallet, you're not doing any voting or anything at all. It's strictly just for holding Bitcoins and sending and receiving. But to answer your question, sorry, now I remember, there are fees that exist on this Bitcoin network. The people that get the fees are the hashers. So the hashers either get the reward, now it's 7.25 Bitcoins, or they get some of the fees and the miner fees. And actually what you're seeing now, there's wallets that don't show you how to create lesser fees. Like Samurai Wallet, I can make a transaction for less than $1. It doesn't matter the amount of it. Yes, it'll take a longer time, but you can pay a little bit more to make it happen faster. But you'll never have to pay what you do in terms of Western Union or even PayPal or anything like that. It'll always be extremely cheap compared to it. But make sure you have a wallet that allows you to change your fees, like it has a dynamic fee structure. Otherwise, you're going to be paying a lot for fees. Like I do not recommend Coinbase. That's the last company I'm going to recommend to hold and send your Bitcoins. They're extremely centralized. Although they do have a lot of new users coming in every day. Like I heard a stat like 100,000, or sorry, 10,000 new users every day or something like that.
That's cold storage.
I don't know, because the problem with Coinbase is they're also an exchange, so you can buy and sell Bitcoins there, but I heard a lot of people that have lost their coins or had a problem getting them out because they hold their coins on the exchange. If you are buying and selling Bitcoins on an exchange, please, for the love of God, get Bitcoins and hold them in your wallet. If you don't hold them on your wallet and they're on the exchange, they're their Bitcoins, they're not your Bitcoins. So take them off and hold them in your own personal wallet.
As you said, with empty blocks.
Yes, that's what happened.
It went insolvent and all the users who had the Bitcoins in the digital wallet, they lost their Bitcoins. That's an ongoing case.
Exactly. We just gave an example where Mt. Gox, it was the first Bitcoin exchange, tons of users lost some money. Last question, because I have to go to a wedding till 1 o'clock. But there's cards on the desk. Please, feel free to email me. I have chat groups I can introduce you to, like the Bitcoin Toronto chat group that you can talk about different people with, and also my Brampton meetup. So, John, and then, are you guys together?
Yes.
Okay, so then you first.
So do I need the hot wallet or desktop, it's called also, to move money from exchange? I do have hard wallet. Can I do direct exchange to hard?
You need a hot wallet.
I do, right?
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Just go on the Google Play Store. I recommend.
Which one you recommend for hot?
Samurai Wallet, obviously, but like I said, I've been honestly promoting them before I got hired to them. But Samurai Wallet, green address, one word, and Electrum, Electrum. All of those are fantastic. They're open source, which means anyone can build.
Friendly to Canadians? Because I'm experimenting.
I'm like that too. I can tell you Canadian exchanges. So for buying Bitcoins, there are some guys that I would for sure recommend that run very good exchanges that keep your privacy in mind. But there are no wallets that I know of that are built by Canadian guys yet. Only exchanges. But the wallets that I recommend, these people are very passionate and they started doing it for free, and most of them it's still for free.
So which exchanges would you recommend?
Okay, I really have to go to a wedding at 1. Please just email me all your questions. I promise I'll answer them all, and I promise. So thank you everybody for coming. Thank you.